You know what made me think about it? Mm-hmm. The fact that Eidos Montreal develops Deus Ex, which is like essentially a first-person game, even though there are some third-person elements, while Crystal Dynamics is third-person.
True.
Not to say that, just because you develop first-person games, you're only going to develop first-person games. Like Guerrilla Games, at PlayStation, they're known for the Killzone franchise, which is a first-person shooter, and they're making a third-person action adventure, Horizon Zero Dawn. So obviously you can switch. You know what I mean? But that's the only reason why I even thought of it. But in terms of what I want, the more I was thinking about as you were talking, and I do want something that's co-op enabled. But what if it was something where you kind of have a squad, right? Let's say you could pick a 4-man squad or a 3-man squad, and it's something akin to Mass Effect, where you can control, except that you can switch between the characters, and you control, a squad of Avengers, right? So you might say, well, I don't necessarily want to play with only 3 Avengers, or maybe have to choose 3 Avengers to go with, but let's say, just like Mass Effect, you can pick the squad you want for your mission.
Yeah.
So you have a choice of Avengers, and you can pick who you want to go as and who you want to go with, and then you can roll out. Shout outs to Transformers, and do your thing.
See, that's more in the general direction of what I would be interested in, and I don't disagree. I just think my problem, when I'm thinking of Deus Ex, I'm thinking of the Tomb Raider games, I'm thinking of even like Mass Effect, which I love.
It's a little clunky. Combat wise,
not
a little bit.
Not just that, but as I don't know. I guess maybe I'm limiting my view of what I would want this game to be. I would want it to be like much more action oriented, where you're like I guess. I mean, this is just
I know what you mean.
This is an inevitable comparison, but like the Arkham games, the Batman games. There's more freedom of motion playing as Batman than playing as Shepard or Lara Croft or Adam Jensen in Deus Ex.
Absolutely.
I guess, but at the same time, I think there's also this inescapable comparison of whatever this game is going to be, comparing it to Marvel Ultimate Alliance.
And that's where, when I started thinking of squads, I was like, I know we're going to stumble on Marvel's Ultimate Alliance if we talk about that.
Yeah, and while I like those games, and I'm sure whatever they do, even if they do something similar, even if they do, I don't know, a sequel, it'll probably be better. But at the same time, I think I would want them to kind of explore different avenues, different venues, and try and do something a little different.
You mean in terms of like gameplay style?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think the same way about it, because I don't like. I mean, Marvel. I love Marvel's Ultimate Alliance. We've played together. We streamed it together. Like, I love those games, but I don't want like that. Like, I feel like, correct me if I'm wrong, the accurate description is like dungeon crawler-esque camera. Like, I want it to be like third person over the shoulder, like how Arkham is. And I don't even know why, but I didn't even think of Arkham when they announced this. Like, you give me some type of gameplay like Arkham, I will be somewhat satisfied. Just give me something that's a little bit team-based and allow me to have some RPG elements in customizing or building up my character's abilities. You know what I'm saying? So, like, let me roll with a squad, but, let me be able to customize their abilities. And oh, yeah, give me them skins. But, I don't know what's going to be more likely, because I feel like if you go with an Avengers game, the idea is the Avengers, it's predicated on this idea that you need to heavily feature the team. And in my opinion, you also need to let people have the choice of who they want to play as. You need to give them some type of choice. Yeah. Because we all love Iron Man. A lot of us like Iron Man. I should say we all. But nobody wants to play. Nobody wants to not have a choice between playing as Iron Man or Cap. Or Thor. Or Hulk. Like, I feel like you do need to give those players that choice if you're going to call it an Avengers game.
Yeah, and see, that brings up another point. I guess something that allows the Arkham games to work really well is the fact that you just pretty much play as Batman. So they can really develop a tight game based around the mechanics of this one character. But the Avengers, they're all different. Right. So if you have Hawkeye, he's not going to play the same as the Hulk would.
No. So, I mean, definitely not. Let's hope not.
So, like, something third person over the shoulder, like you were saying, could work better with a Hawkeye type character. Maybe Captain America. Characters that are, they have melee, but those have projectiles. But if you play as the Hulk, how are you going to do third person over the shoulder?
Well,
A
with
character
the whole,
that's meant to kind of jump around and just like go all out and just, smash and destroy things.
well, back on the PS3, there was a game, the Incredible Hulk game, that while it didn't get that much play and people probably don't remember it,
I remember
mechanically,
that game was dope.
mechanically, that was a good game.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't describe that exactly as third person over the shoulder, but it was definitely a third person.
Oh yeah. It was it was I don't know what you would describe. Like the camera wasn't too zoomed in.
Right.
It wasn't exactly over the shoulder, but it was third person. You can rotate the camera. But again, that game was just as the Hulk. So the mechanics were all catered to that one character.
Right. Well, then I guess maybe the definition that I'm giving as third person over the shoulder should just be more something like third person. Because Batman, the Arkham series, I want something like with the third person camera of Batman. I don't know if that's over the shoulder or not, but like third person behind the character. How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
Catch me outside. But I mean, okay, back to Ultimate Alliance. What if the camera were not so high up? Like just, degrees lower. Would you be all right with that, I guess? Or you have more control or less janky camera?
Am I still looking down on their heads?
No, it would be... Imagine it's like, I think it's 75-degree angle. I think that's what it's called. Like Diablo style. Dungeon crawler. If you just kind of bring it down a bit. I think Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, they brought the angle down more. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah. So you mean like more like Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 2?
In a sense, yeah.
Nah, me not want it.
Me
don't want that.
Because the thing, if it's co-op, well, I mean, if it's co-op online, then each character can have their own respective camera. So I guess, yeah.
I mean, and not just that, but if it's co-op, I mean, think about Gears of War. Doesn't Gears of War, didn't they do co-op with like that third person? I mean, granted, the combat is slower. I will give you that. But didn't they do third person? And that was over the shoulder, and it was co-op, and that was fine. Right?
Yeah. But it was shooter. But I agree with what you're saying.
It's possible. It's possible. I mean, another game, and this is, we could think of this is more of like online co-op, not couch co-op, but Rise of the Tomb Raider had an online co-op component to it, where you can control your own Lara Croft and be in the same world as somebody, and, you just have your own camera, and that seemed to work fine.
True.
Remember, we played at New York City Comic Con. That looked actually fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it is capable. You just have to be willing to put in the time. And now, not just that, like we're talking about Crystal Dynamics, the same team who makes Rise of the Tomb Raider. So it's possible if they wanted to do that.
Yeah.
If they wanted to do that.
I mean, I'm agreeing with, I guess, the sort of camera style. I guess it's just I want more of a beat 'em up type of feel. That's kind of what I'd be a little bit more interested in with a game like this.
Really? Why?
Because you have all these different diverse characters. I want it to be really fun, and I want it to be really over the top. I don't necessarily want it to be something... I don't want it to be like Arkham, because Arkham's Arkham, and it works for Batman. The gameplay mechanics and the mood and everything work for Batman. If they made a Captain America game, which I think they did, didn't they? That was like Arkham, like the Batman games?
I that sounds very familiar, man, but I'm wondering if that was like a prototype or something and never reached like final production. Something tells me that that's what happened. I mean, honestly, I don't remember well enough to tell you, but that definitely does sound familiar.
But it's just, I don't know. I feel like that, I know people, I guess some people complain. Marvel is always, I don't know, it's very, what is it? Childlike or positive or fun or whatever, and that's a complaint of people nowadays with the Marvel movies, that's too positive of a vibe. I don't know if you would agree.
What do you mean?
Like with the Marvel movies, people say that they're more kiddie. I guess that's what they say.
Or more PG-13?
Yeah, that's apparently a criticism. And I don't know. I would want like
and for mature.
No. I would want like a very fun vibe. It doesn't have to be kiddie, but I would want something that is like very fun, very over the top. You play as many different characters. The Avengers has an enormous roster. Everybody just coming together and just doing some fan service. Have a decent story there. Have some fan service, when you have, you're just going out there and just destroying Hydra, AIM, etc., Chitauri, Skrulls, all them guys.
By the way, that third-person Captain America game, I think, was Captain America Super Soldier. I think that's the game we're talking about. I looked it up real quick because I thought I remember. I think it came out around the time. That's one of those video game movie games. I think it came out at the time first the Winter Soldier came out. Not Winter Soldier. The first Avenger came out. And that was like on the PS3 360. But nah, back to the feel of it. I mean, that's the next question. What storylines would you want them to tell? We're selfish because we're mature people. We're mature dudes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna naturally say we want something that's mature, but still be fun. Do you agree that it should be M for mature, or should it be like teen?
It's not really. I think the compromise would for it to be teen. I don't really have a preference. I just want a good game. I don't really. Right. To me, it doesn't really matter. I don't yearn for a mature Marvel game, especially if it's the Avengers. I don't really see the Avengers as a mature team or as a mature product, and that's not That's not even a bad thing. Like I said, people have a problem with that with the movies, but I have absolutely no problem with that at all. I used to have a problem with that with like Wolverine, but now they're making an R-rated Wolverine movie, and that makes total sense to me.
By the way, if they wanted to put Wolverine in that game, they could, because there's no rights issues there. They probably wouldn't, just because they're trying to downplay their X-Men characters right now in favor of the humans. But they could definitely throw a Wolverine in there if they wanted to.
True. But I looked up the movie schedules for 2018.
Yeah.
So we got here Black Panther.
Okay.
We got Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Nice.
And we have a very, very major and important movie to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And that is
Infinity Wars.
Avengers Infinity War Part 1. So,
well, it's actually going to be just Infinity War, because they confirmed that the quote-unquote second part is going to get a completely different title. It's not even going to be referred to as Part 2 or Part 1 anymore.
Fair enough. I wouldn't be surprised.
This is a smart move.
I wouldn't be surprised if this Avengers game has some sort of connection or tie, or at least like a thematic tie to the movie, like a cross promotion or something like that.
Well, it's funny you say that, because they said the next time the game's going to be shown is 2018, right? Now, that doesn't mean the game is going to be dropped in 2018, right? Which means more likely the game would either... I would think just based on dev time alone, it's probably not coming until 2019 at the earliest. That's just me.
Yeah. All right.
Because
let's look real quick then. Yeah. The second movie is slated
for
2020.
But you bring up a good point. Like I think you made the right approach looking at 2018. I'll tell you why. Because we know with Infinity War and them going up against Thanos, the Avengers is gonna get their ass kicked. It has to happen. They have to get toe up. And the fact that the next movie was called Part 2 gives me the impression that at the end of this, I guess Infinity War, which is formerly called Part 1, I'm thinking that they're going to be in shambles at the end of that movie.
Okay.
So if you think of that idea, and you got a game coming up with the hashtag Reassemble, there might be a theme of the Avengers being defeated, broken, especially by that teaser trailer, and coming back together. So I think you are right. I think thematically there is going to be a tie between that Infinity War movie and this game. Or at least there's a good chance based on what we've seen. So I think you were right looking at that. I think that's a good point.
Okay, let's take a step back.
Stepping back.
I guess, what game do you want to see? You tell me. You tell me yours. I'll tell you mine.
I definitely don't want to see a beat 'em up. I wouldn't be opposed to a beat 'em up, but if you're gonna give me a beat 'em up, give me like a $30, $40 beat 'em up. Don't give me like I want a bona fide AAA third person game where you could give me some of the Arkham combat for characters like Captain America and stuff, but ultimately you're gonna have to switch it up. Give me some verticality for characters like Iron Man and whatnot too. But essentially, the closest comparison I can have is to the Arkham franchise. And there are a lot of people who are like, yeah, I'm tired of the Arkham combat, da-da-da. But the Arkham combat spawned games like Shadow of Mordor. Fantastic game, combat-wise. I mean, I could totally picture a character like Thor fighting like how dude from Shadow and Mortar fights. I can't remember his name at the moment, but
damn,
Talion.
I think it's Talion.
Talion, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But I don't want to see something like that. Give me the ability to have a squad. So whether it's a 3-man team or a 4-man team. Ideally, I like to swap between them, but I wouldn't be mad if they didn't. But in the loadout menu, give me the option to at least pick any of those characters to roll with. And, give me something that's decision-based. Mm-hmm. A la Mass Effect, where, I can make choices in the game. Now, once again, that's not something I need to have. That's just something I'd want to have. Mm-hmm. So, I want the choices of, like, let's say, The Witcher. So I don't want something that's like Paragon Renegade. I want something that's a little bit more malleable. Mm-hmm. And something that's not so obvious, where it's like basically representing the idea of the hero's moral dilemma. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's anything else. I mean, give me a roster of Avengers. Doesn't have to be a lot, but give me like, I don't know, how many squad mates do you have in Mass Effect? I don't know, like 6?
6 or 7, yeah.
Give me a choice of like 6 or 7 Avengers, and run me through a story where I get to make some decisions, and I can control a squad, and roll in the game.
Okay,
roll through the game.
So it seems like you want more of a action RPG.
Yes, definitely. That I forgot to mention that upgradable, somewhat customizable ability upgrades, so I can kind of format my character to have certain strengths and weaknesses.
See, here I guess are some of my thoughts about what you proposed. Like, I would totally be down for that if it were centered more around one character or a group of characters.
Right.
Maybe the team is Captain America, Black Widow, Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's agents, like maybe it's S.H.I.E.L.D. or something. I mean, those aren't the bigger, more popular characters. Maybe it could even be Guardians of the Galaxy.
I see your reasoning behind that, because the story can get lost very easily if you do it the way I was talking about. And so I do believe that the focus should be on at least 1 or 2 characters, ideally.
Yeah, actually, that's not even my trepidation with it. It's not even how many characters or which characters. My thing is, like with your proposal for a game, I'm thinking about the Hulk. I'm thinking about Iron Man. I'm thinking about Thor. How would they fit into like a third-person kind of like RPG, action RPG like that?
The camera would need to be further back,
and like even like their gameplay. I'm thinking, like a character like the Hulk. You would want to have more freedom of movement and stuff like that. But I would definitely be down for something like that. I guess depending on the character that it is.
Sure.
So
you'd like that for more like a solo character adventure or a character.
Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love Marvel, and if you give me something that's like Mass Effect, like if you give me something that is I guess more like Deus Ex, you could even say, that's more story driven, and it kind of interweaves into some of these things that are going on in the Marvel universe. Maybe you're not exactly partaking in them, but you're kind of it's almost like a parallel story, kind of how like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. season 2 was a parallel story to Winter Soldier. Something like that would be really, really dope.
No, go ahead.
Now I was gonna say, in terms of like just if this is an Avengers game, if you're actually gonna have all the Avengers, I also do want a third person. Like I said earlier, I would want something with like a huge roster. Which, now that I think about it, they may not want to do, because I know they have a lot of stake in, like those mobile games and those like those free to play games.
Yeah.
And those games are all about having 50 to like 100 characters and 50 to 100 costumes for each character, but you got to pay for them.
Yeah.
But I I don't want Marvel Ultimate Alliance. I kind of want to move away from that. I want something that's like a tighter mechanically, and I also feel the same way. You know, I wouldn't want the same dungeon crawling camera because it gets, I don't know, it gets kind of tedious, I guess. Like it kind of takes away from the fun after a while if you're just it's the constant same camera and just constantly just, you know, trekking and just knocking out a few enemies and then moving to this place, moving to that place, and backtracking and stuff like that. But I just kind of want, like, I would want something that's over the top in terms of the gameplay, a little bit more beat 'em uppy, so to speak. Something that, you know, maybe takes. Hell, it could even be like Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
it could even be like Kingdom Hearts.
The thing about it is I feel like you might come across the same dilemma that you brought up for me, which is how do you switch between different fighting styles? Now, I was thinking about that while you were talking, and I'm like, well, I'm sure there's a game out there that has a different protagonist you can choose whose style is somewhat different, but works. And the one game that I could think of something similar was Infamous Second Son. Where you have these different abilities that literally change how you play the game. Yeah. And yet, now, granted it's the same character, but who's to say for one of those games with the Avengers, you could just switch out the characters for, you know, those different abilities. Like the game, the melee more or less remains the same. And some of the powers, like, you know, the basic, like, shooting that you do, because you could kind of, like, you know, shoot your powers out in like a focus beam. Yeah, works the same for Infamous Second Son, but they do have different elements that change based on the power you have. Yeah. So,
you know,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I forgot to mention, I definitely want it to be co-op, team-based, maybe 4 players.
Sure, definitely.
For sure. And now that I'm thinking about
4 player, Lord, I just, oh my gosh, I did some things in my pants just now. Oh,
4 player co-op and we're good. And now I was kind of thinking. And bear with me. I'll explain what I mean by this.
Always bear with you, man. Always, man. Because you come in with crazy stuff, but I bear with it, man.
I was thinking,
stick with it.
There's a type of gameplay in video games called Musou style.
What's that? I've never heard that. Wait, what'd you say? Musou? Like the dragon from Mulan?
I think it might be pronounced Musou. It's spelled out Musou. Musou.
I'm gonna look that up.
And
MOS.
There's one particular franchise of games that does that, and that is Dynasty Warriors. Now, I don't want it to be like Dynasty Warriors.
No, I don't.
Too loose.
Please, God, no.
Too loose of a game. You know, too loose of game mechanics and the way that the game actually plays.
Sure.
But I want maybe something. I guess what's this Nier Automata game?
Yeah. See, yo, it's like you read my mind.
That's like something that's a tighter experience, something that is your third person. That is third person over the shoulder, pretty much.
But it does have elements of that like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2 side scrolling that you were talking about.
Yes.
Or like that kind of like that side view third person, where it's like an altered view of third person.
Yeah. Almost like some sort of blend of the scale you get in like a God of War. Like imagine they take God of War, they open it up a bit so you can have those 4 players there. They play differently. Obviously, there's enough room for the Hulk to do his thing, for Hawkeye to stand back and do his thing, Captain America get up into people's faces. You know, you got maybe like a sort of Nier Automata type of style, like a Bayonetta, which is those games are derived from Dynasty Warriors. Yeah. In the way that it's like crazy combos and you just it's an offshoot of beat 'em up.
Yeah, definitely.
So something like that, which I think those Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix, they've had experience. They've had it's got to be a game or two that they've made that's like that.
I mean, it's funny you brought up Platinum Games because we've cut on Platinum. We've cut on Platinum Games from time to time. Yeah. For making some subpar games. But I felt like you were describing when you were talking about over the top. I felt like you were essentially describing what Platinum Games does best, which is over the top combat. Like if you look at Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, I mean that's the definition of over the top. Yeah. In terms of the scale,
it doesn't have to be like that insane, but I'm just saying if you're gonna give me Chitauri, you got to give me a whole bunch of them.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? I want to see the Avengers assemble. Because when you think of, like what you said, I'd still be down for. But Mass Effect doesn't OD. Mass Effect wants you to be tactical. It puts the pressure on you.
Right.
But it does it in a way that makes total sense. Because if they threw a whole bunch of enemies at you like Metal Gear Rising Revengeance, it would just look stupid.
Nah, I think in that respect, you're actually right. And I would probably come more over to your side in terms of that description of a game franchise, because that actually is, you're actually right about that. Like, if you're gonna give me these ultra powerful characters, let me mow through people.
Yeah.
Like, let me mow through people. Now I look at Eidos Montreal, and I'm not sure how much experience they have with that, but I'm not. I was looking at Crystal Dynamics as well, and I'm not sure how much experience they have with that either. I mean, they have a game called back in 1995 called Samurai Showdown, but I have no idea what the play style for that is.
Samurai Showdown is a fighting game.
Well,
pretty good fighting game, but that's a kind of a defunct franchise, I think, at this point.
Right, and they've also done Legacy of Kain, Soul Reaver back in the day.
See, that's another cool play style to kind of derive from.
Right. It was kind of like a melee-based platforming game, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is not a bad idea. I mean, I don't want to say platforming because, I don't want to what people think that, Super Mario Brothers Avengers Edition or something.
I don't know. I mean, it's tough to talk about because, for starters, Marvel doesn't have much of a
gaming,
like many games that you can really go back to and say, oh, I would like to see more of this, or I would like to see more of that. And obviously, we're kind of making like a Frankenstein's monster of a game right now. Right. So when we say Dynasty Warriors, we say this, or platforming, or over the shoulder, or third person. We're not necessarily trying to say that we want it to be just like that game that you're thinking in your mind.
Exactly,
right now.
It's elements.
Yes.
Elements.
And I sent you a link to Nier Automata. I just randomly searched it up. And maybe something that is like, that camera is wonderful. It's fluid. You can see everything you need to see. If you see there's two characters right now fighting. Imagine one of them is Captain America. He needs to get up close. The other one's Hawkeye. He's agile, shooting and whatnot. And there's enough space in that area for you to do your thing with your 3 to 4 party members.
Right. I could definitely see that, man. Like, and I will say this about Nier Automata. Shout outs to Platinum Games for this, but like, mechanically, it's a pretty cool game. Yeah. I played that demo and I enjoyed that demo a lot. I don't know how it's gonna be story wise, but when I look at this camera and I look at its approach, I mean, anybody who's watching this video, just take a look at Nier Automata, and look at, you can search boss battle if you want to know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
There's a boss battle from E3 2016, and I like the way this looks, and I would probably take elements of what I was asking for and mix it with this type of playstyle.
And there,
but it doesn't necessarily have to be this. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a little too. I don't want to say quick. That's not the word I'm looking for. It's like too.
I guess like bullet hell.
Yeah, it's like.
No, that definitely wouldn't be bullet hell, because those mechanics wouldn't really work with the Avengers.
Yeah, but something like this would be pretty cool. I mean, like, I could totally picture Cap, fighting a boss going in with his crazy fighting skills and then throwing his shield in there, and that would be hot. Or even, random team ups with some of the other characters. I still want something that would allow me to have a squad, though.
Oh, no.
I do want something squad.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that one. It definitely, if it's the Avengers, gotta be a team. If not, there's no point in making the game. And I'm thinking, there's this game that we've mentioned before on GCDT. I'm forgetting the name of it. It came out on the 360. The main, it's in
That's our other podcast, by the way, if you're listening. Get Coins and Die
Trying. It's in the vein of Revengeance, but I think it's even a better game than Revengeance. I mean, I know you weren't big on Revengeance. I liked it, but I think this other game that I'm thinking of is much better. And it got like...
What's the game?
I'm forgetting the name of it, but I know the main character, he has like this like suit of armor, like robotic armor that kind of like moves around. It's almost like scales. It's like all white.
Damn. You just said suit of armor. I just thought of like every Japanese game that's ever existed.
Wait, I think I found it. I believe it is Vanquish.
Vanquish, yeah.
Yeah, Vanquish has that third person over the shoulder camera, like I'm envisioning you're talking about, much closer to the character.
Yep.
And it's like a shooter hybrid. It's almost like Gears mixed with God Hand. I mean, I'm gonna see if I can. Damn, I'll send you this link just so you can see the action, but like it's extremely blurry.
I mean, I'm watching Vanquish right now, some Vanquish gameplay as we speak.
Yeah.
And as I'm watching this, I definitely rethink my third person over the shoulderness, and definitely like more like, Nier Automata.
Think so?
Yeah. I think I have to renege on it, and not maybe, but I'm limited by imagination too, because as you said, we're trying to build a game, and for all intents and purposes, I don't know if they can make a game as fast as Nier Automata and have the camera behind them like a game like like Arkham. You know what I mean? Like, because ideally, I don't necessarily want third person over the shoulder. I want something that's like third person behind the person's back, like Batman Arkham Asylum. But for example, when you throw your Batarang, I'm pretty sure that goes into over the shoulder mode to throw your Batarang.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm like. That's what I was saying earlier on. When I say third person over the shoulder, I just mean third person behind the character. But I'm looking at Nier Automata, and I don't want the combat to be as frantic or fast paced.
Yeah.
I do want it to be quick depending on the character.
Yeah.
But I do feel like that camera might be best if you want to, have all your squad mates, especially if it's co-op, be visible. So I think you're onto something there.
I mean, I feel like we're almost like crossing over into the other side of things, because I'm looking at Vanquish, and I'm like, this would kind of work. Would you squad of 3 or even 4? It's over the shoulder, but it's not that close. Like I'd say, like a Gears, because you can see the player's entire body. There's enough movement. It's slower than Nier Automata. The melee is like God Hand, which is it's a very fun game.
Yeah.
And it still works as a shooter if you're playing someone as Hawkeye, or maybe you're throwing the shield with Cap or Iron Man.
You know what? I'm looking at this too, and I could totally go for this too.
Yeah.
I'm looking at it more, and I'm like, as you're speaking, I'm envisioning what you're saying. I think either or would be fine. Give me something with the camera of Vanquish. I'm pretty sure I was saying that in the past tense, but it's Vanquish present tense, not vanquished. Vanquish. Something with Vanquish or something akin to like Nier Automata. Just definitely, like, I don't want that Platinum Games. Oh, button mash. But like, oh, get this power up. Oh, sometimes like that's why I didn't like Avengers, because like I thought it was a cool game, and don't get me wrong, it wasn't bad. It's just like, especially near the end, it was just like that the end boss. I forget what his name is at the moment. The Senator
Brock Lesnar.
It was just too much, man. And like I got to the point where I'm just like, ugh. Like, I don't want to do these boss battles where it's like,
it's almost like you can get kind of numb to what's going on. It's
right.
the Boyce Battleborn syndrome.
I love telling that story, man. My man Boyce, there was so much. We playing the Battleborn beta. There was so much going on during the gameplay, and there was a point where Boyce was just shooting at some stairs.
Like I was looking at the mini map. I was looking at like the menus. I was communicating with the team, and I just had the shooting. I had right trigger held, so I was just shooting. I wasn't even paying attention to what I was supposed to be doing, because there was so much going on at that one moment. But I think maybe you might also agree with me on this one, where I want there to be some sort of tactile feedback, which I think is what the Arkham games do well, and sometimes like the hack and slash games don't do well, where it's not that satisfying feeling you get from actually hitting enemies.
Right. And okay, that's why I want to originally shy away from Platinum games. And that's part of my issue. Is when I play Platinum games, I don't feel like there's like a floatiness, or I don't feel like there's a heaviness to the strikes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe if I use a heavy sword, yeah, you feel like you're dropping a heavy sword or somebody. But because the combat's so fast, there's less of a like tactile feedback from each of these little hits you're doing.
Yeah.
But in Arkham, when you're punching someone, you feel like you're knocking the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Like Batman is. You know what I'm saying? You feel like you're knocking them out.
Yeah. And
I want that. I want to feel that power if I'm Hulk.
And it's weird because I think of like older beat 'em ups.
Yeah.
I feel like they had more of a feel when you actually hit enemies, even though they were older games.
Right.
Than some of these hack and slash. I guess there's a difference between beat 'em up and hack and slash. Now that I'm thinking about it.
Oh, definitely.
So more
Definitely. I mean,
beat
a
'em
beat 'em
up.
up can have a hack and slash elements,
Yeah.
but they're not the same thing per se. Damn. I'm still looking at this Vanquish gameplay.
This was
this
a
game
really
any good?
good game that if someone ever got a 360, I mean, you can get a 360 for cheap if you just want to play some good 360 games. I'd recommend this game. This game was super underrated on a 360.
Damn, it looks fantastic. It was on the PS3 too.
Oh, okay. Well, you got a PS3. Get it.
Shit.
I mean, I'm looking at him right now. This gameplay, and the dude took cover on like very low cover. And you know how usually in a game they do like the squat, but like they're still kind of poking out of the cover.
Right.
This character is like realistically laying down on the ground with like his shoulders like on the cover instead of like just crouching. Well, this game was, I don't know what happened. I guess maybe the studio went down under. That's probably what it was.
Probably. Let's hope that doesn't happen to Square Enix after these Avengers games. It's never gonna happen. I'm just playing. It was Platinum Games actually.
They made Vanquish?
Yeah, Platinum Games, published by Sega.
Platinum Games, they're trying to keep the middle market alive.
Indeed,
they're out there.
They low key are trying to do that. I ain't gonna lie.
They're out there making some games that are decent for like $30-$35 that you can get them at maximum.
Yeah. I mean, the game sold by March 2011. The game had sold 830,000 copies worldwide. So I'm not really sure why. If you look at the scores, got good scores. So I'm not really sure why. You know, yeah, we're gonna have to look at this after this podcast is over because I think I might need to go back to this game, man.
Yeah, and this also reminds me of another game called Binary Domain, which is another third-person shooter that came out around the same time.
Side note, the main character's name is Sam Gideon, and I was looking at this gameplay, and he reminds me of Jetstream Sam. I think his name is right. Jetstream Sam from Revengeance. Yeah, he kind of looks like him.
Yeah, there's some similarities there, but I would say I'd rather play this than Revengeance.
I mean, yeah, I know. You're over here hating on Revengeance. Anyway,